Listening Library presents Putin versus Zelensky, the Russo-Ukrainian War, why it's happening, and how it all got started. This is the author, Ben Thompson. To Brian, may you grow up in a world that knows peace. Ukraine's freedom has not yet perished, nor has her glory. Upon us, fellow Ukrainians, fate shall smile once more. Our enemies will vanish like dew in the sun, and we too shall rule, brothers, in a free land of our own. We'll lay down our souls and our bodies to attain our freedom, and we'll show that we, brothers, are of the Cossack nation. We'll stand together for freedom, from the Scion to the dawn. We will not allow others to rule in our motherland. National Anthem of Ukraine. Prologue. Our Truth. Lately, there has been a lot of fake information online that I called on our army to lay down arms and evacuate. Listen. I am here. We will not lay down our weapons. We will defend our state, because our weapons are our truth. And the truth is that this is our land, our country, our children, and we will defend all of that. Volodymyr Zelensky, February 26, 2022. It is late in the evening on Thursday, February 24th, 2022, and Kyiv is burning. The unthinkable has happened. Russia invaded Ukraine. Armed conflict has come to Europe on a scale not seen since the Second World War. News of devastation resonates across the Ukrainian countryside. Reports of missile strikes in cities and on military bases across the country. Footage of heavily armed Russian attack helicopters and fighter jets screaming overhead. Huge convoys of tanks, self-propelled artillery, and armored personnel carriers rolling along the highways. In the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, air raid sirens blare. White-hot explosions from cruise missiles and suicide drones ignite the night sky and send twisted metal and shattered glass raining down onto the city streets below. The heavily outnumbered police and military defending the city hurry to defensive positions, while terrified men, women, and children pack up their belongings and pets and rush to the city's subway systems, hoping the underground train stations may provide some protection against the deadly missiles and rockets that rain down on the capital. Others flee on trains or in cars, headed for the borders of Poland and Hungary. The entire country is gripped with confusion, fear, sadness, pain, and shock. Rumors have been circulating that the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has fled the country, abandoning his people to their struggle. Social media is filled with reports that the American government has contacted him and that he has already taken the first helicopter out of the country. Without a leader, the country will suffer. The end is near. But then, amid this backdrop of desperation and hopelessness, a glimmer of hope arises from an unlikely source. A 32-second selfie video posted on the social media outlet Telegram. It shows Zelensky defiantly standing in front of the government buildings in downtown Kyiv, flanked by the senior members of his government. Good evening to all. The president is here. We are all here. Our military is here. Our citizens are here. We are defending our independence, our state, and it will be so further. Glory to our defenders. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes. Zelensky's message that evening was repeated consistently in the hours and days that followed. The leader of Ukraine was here, and he was going to fight. It was true, Zelensky said, that the American president had called him and offered evacuation. Zelensky said that he responded in English. The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride. The Ukrainian leader's defiance and his impassioned appeals inspired the citizens of his country to stand up to the invaders and battle for their freedom, for their country, and for their families. Men and women across the country signed up to fight, joining the territorial defense forces or simply waiting in line to get AK-47s and face the enemy. Others, even little kids and grandmas, got to work building barricades and sandbags, laying down tank traps and barbed wire, loading bullets into magazines and building homemade Molotov cocktails to throw at enemy tanks. Police, firefighters, and EMTs cleared rubble from the streets and provided first aid to injured people. Bystanders recorded cell phone videos of Russian vehicles, then texted them to the Ukrainian military as valuable intel on enemy troop movements and operational strength. Farmers hitched their tractors to broken-down enemy tanks and hauled them off to Ukrainian supply depots to be repaired and sent back into battle for Ukraine. All across the country, the people stood up as one, determined to fight for their land, their home. And the Western world responded, sending aid, weapons, and medicine, and inflicting heavy economic sanctions against Russia. The Russian Federation had planned on capturing Ukraine in 10 days. It failed. It failed because the Russian political leadership, the military high command, and, to be fair, the rest of the world underestimated the Ukrainian sense of independence and their willingness to fight tooth and nail to defend it. No one expected accountants, preschool teachers, and hairstylists to drop everything, grab a rifle, and fight against Russian special forces, Spetsnaz. But they did. Why? If you understand the long and complicated history that intertwines Russia and Ukraine, the generational struggle for Ukrainian statehood, and the horrors that the Ukrainian people suffered under centuries of Russian occupation, you can begin to understand why those young accountants would rather die in battle than see their country fall under the sphere of Russian influence once again. To those accountants, and to many other Ukrainians, this is a war for the survival of their people, their culture, their way of life. And while much of the world long ago bought into the Russian story that Ukraine is just Little Russia, a small part of the greater Russian Empire dating back to the 1700s, the Ukrainian people never forgot who they were, where they came from, and all that they had suffered under Russian rule since the time of the Tsars. This is a people with a strong sense of national identity, and the struggle for that identity is one that the citizens of Ukraine have been maintaining for centuries. It is a battle that spans generations and persists even as governments and empires rise and fall. It's a battle they continue to fight to this very day. This is the story of two families, one Ukrainian and one Russian, who have lived through that struggle. Both fought for their countries, sometimes on the same side. Each produced a leader, President Vladimir Putin of the Russian Federation and President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, both the namesake of the ruler of Kievan Rus, the medieval Slavic state that spawned the two countries. Each has a family history that illustrates the impassable historical divide between their countries, a chasm that has sparked brutal war on a global scale. Both sides see the conflict as a battle for the souls of their countries. Part 1. The Chef. The shared history of Russia and Ukraine dates back to the days of marauding Viking kings. But we will begin this story in the years leading up to the Russian Empire's violent and chaotic collapse in 1917. Caught in the middle of this sweeping change, surrounded by protests, unrest, and open warfare, is a man named Spiridon Putin. He is a humble peasant who has worked his way to a position of prominence and now finds himself employed as a chef at a luxury restaurant in the Russian capital. There is an apocryphal story, a cultural myth likely embellished, that one day Spiridon Putin cooked for one of the most infamous men in Russian history, Grigory Rasputin. The kernel of this story comes from Spiridon's grandson, Yevgeny Mikhailovich Putin, the cousin of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Yevgeny claims that he heard the story from Spiridon himself. And while the details of this cannot be confirmed or verified, they are at least plausible, since both men were in St. Petersburg at the same time, and Spiridon Putin did work as a chef in the kinds of places Rasputin and his aristocratic friends liked to eat. We'll never know for sure. Yet, regardless of whether it is true, it is an intriguing tale, and one that can really pull us into the world of Russia at the time of the Tsars, where our story begins. On a snowy evening early in the 20th century, a mysterious man enters the bustling dining room of a fancy restaurant in the heart of the Russian capital of St. Petersburg. The tables are full with diners, even though the food here is
sample complete. Ready to continue?